social desirability bias is our tendency to present ourselves and our opinions in a more favorable and socially acceptable light, often at the expense of honesty or accuracy, especially in situations where we are being evaluated or judged. We tend to overstate socially desirable behaviors, such as volunteering and healthy eating, and understate undesirable ones, such as lying, cheating, and discrimination. This is because our brain's reward system becomes more active when we present ourselves in a positive light. Social approval and positive self-presentation have been vital for survival and social cohesion throughout human history. Being viewed favorably by others in our social group could mean better cooperation, greater access to resources, and increased chances of survival. Positive social interactions and group acceptance were and continue to be essential for our well-being and group cohesion. Therefore, the brain has evolved to find those experiences rewarding, leading to the activation of its reward system, like the release of neurotransmitters such as dopamine, which gives us a feeling of pleasure or satisfaction. This is why we over-report good behavior, even when there is little tangible benefit to do so. Surveys are a common tool used by leaders to make informed decisions, but their effectiveness can be compromised by social desirability bias. Here is a study conducted in Denver to examine the social desirability bias. Researchers first gathered official data on 3 specific behaviors: voting, charitable donations, and library card ownership. When they later surveyed Denver residents, they asked survey respondents to self-report on those behaviors. In the figure you see on the screen, purple bars represent self-reported data, and yellow bars represent official data. You can see a consistent over-reporting of socially desirable behaviors. It reflects a broader pattern in human communication. Studies suggest that people tend to be dishonest about 1/3 of the time in everyday interactions. Moreover, our desire to impress others is not confined to interactions with friends. We have a strong motivation to make a positive impression even on complete strangers. Be aware that self-reported data can be inflated. Thanks to the social desirability bias, we need to be cautious about the truthfulness of self-reported survey results. No survey method is foolproof, especially concerning sensitive topics. Across all platforms, internet, phone, or in person, significant misreporting exists. We also need to pay attention to how the survey is delivered. Online surveys tend to have more honest responses compared to phone or face-to-face interviews. Being alone during the survey further increases the likelihood of a truthful response. The amygdala associated with emotional responses may play a role here. Lower levels of social scrutiny may decrease amygdala activity, making people more comfortable with being honest. Interview data are also susceptible to the social desirability bias. For leaders who often rely on interviews for performance evaluation or stakeholder engagement, leaders should use different data sources to form comprehensive and less biased perspectives. Acknowledging the brain's tendency for reward-seeking behavior in social situations can guide us in developing strategies to counterbalance the social desirability bias, thereby making more informed decisions. We can offer strong incentives to be truthful in social interactions. To do so, we can provide anonymity and separate respondents from social settings where they feel scrutinized. How does power influence social desirability bias? Are high-power people more vulnerable to this bias? The answer is still unclear. Research findings are mixed. Some studies suggest that people with high power may feel less need to conform to social expectations, and as a result, may actually be less susceptible to social desirability bias. The reduced need to seek approval may be due to the increased resources, social capital, and security that are often associated with positions of power. On the other hand, people in positions of leadership are often under greater scrutiny and have more to lose if perceived negatively. Thereby, they may be more motivated to present themselves in a socially desirable way to maintain their status and authority. The visibility and accountability associated with leadership roles can create pressures that enhance the activation of the brain reward system when positive self-presentation leads to positive, rewarding results. Leaders frequently claim that their decision-making is impartial and rational, devoid of any emotional influence. It is socially desirable to do so. However, neuroscience shows that complete impartiality in decision-making is more aspirational than achievable, given the biological constraints of the human brain. The cognitive and emotional systems are connected to each other structurally and functionally. They are constantly at play during decision-making processes. Their intertwined operation makes it impossible to separate the cognitive system from the emotional system entirely. Therefore, declaring that a decision is entirely rational and unbiased is essentially disregarding our neurobiological makeup. For example, imagine a leader who is choosing between two strategies. One is a safe, tried and true approach that the leader has used in the past. This strategy has a low risk and moderate reward. The other is an innovative but untested strategy. This strategy has high risk and high reward. Even if the leader claims to be making a rational decision based on data alone, the amygdala in that leader's brain is influencing the decision by evaluating potential risks and rewards emotionally. Biases like risk aversion and over-optimism bias are also at play, guided by neural pathways that have been conditioned over time. While it is socially desirable for leaders to claim impartiality, the neuroscience behind decision-making suggests that completely unbiased decisions are not physically feasible. Instead of denying the presence of biases, effective leaders recognize, understand, and set up policies and procedures to manage them in order to make better decisions. Start observing your decision-making process and those of others around you. See if you can spot instances of social desirability bias. Please feel free to share your comments below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.